ES Audio.
Gymshark started in Ben Francis's parents' garage in the Midlands with lessons from his gran on how to sew. 10 years on, the fitness apparel company is a global business valued at £1.25 billion. Ben is 30 years old. An overnight success story told in hushed whispers at entrepreneur balls. But the real story isn't like that at all.
I think Gymshark was about the 7th website that I'd built. Now people look at Gymshark, 10 years old, and they'll pick out all the successes. And I think I look back and I always say to people internally that Gymshark is a story of failure.
The company's celebrating its first decade with the opening of its first IRL store on Regent Street in London. A brand that's proud to have bloomed on social media now has a physical presence on an iconic home for retail.
We're trying to create an iconic brand, and to create an iconic brand takes tens of years. And what you can't do is only invest in your brand when everything is sunshine and it's rosy, right? You have to consistently, over time, invest in a brand, and that's what we've decided to do here. And we see this as a massive investment in our brand.
I'm David Marsden from the Evening Standard. The day before the store opened, we were given a tour by Gymshark's Mitch Healy, and we're going to give you some of the highlights of that through this show. It's not your everyday shop. But it's rare for Ben to get a moment to reflect on what he's done in 10 years. Just look at his own social media channels to see the brutal hours he works. So when we get some time to have a chat with him, I want to go right back to the beginning. So here we are, Ben, in this new flagship store for Gymshark on one of the most famous shopping streets in the entire world. Yeah. It's a long way from stitching up your own clothes in the garage.
Yeah, right. It's so cool to be here. Like, to think, I mean, it's our 10 years. We're 10 years old this year. So to be sat here, like you say, on one of the most iconic streets in Europe, knowing that literally 10 years ago to the day, we was hand stitching and printing product, it's a really cool feeling.
Hello, so I'm Mitch. I'm Global IRL Director here at Gymshark. I've been with the brand for 8 years. Let's go for a tour. We've designed a space that we can train and trade from. Rather than say, right, let's build a store and then figure out what else we want to do around that. Our approach has always been, let's build a space that allows us to train and trade and is super agile and versatile, so we can do with it whatever we'd like to do.
This is really interesting because I've not seen this before, and I apologise to any store that does have this, but these rails, these rise up. So this becomes much more than your normal retail experience, doesn't it? You can come in here and actually effectively interact with the space.
Absolutely, yeah. So up in the air there, you've got the roller shutter doors. Shutter doors come down. We can get everything that's on the ground now into this space within 15 minutes. We've got our new custom rig over there where we can, with a push of a button, we can send the product up in the air. We've got fully functioning gym floor there as well. So within 15 minutes, the floor is completely clear, the roller shutters are down, and we've got a completely empty, fully functioning gym space or event space.
Was this always the plan for Gymshark? Did you start there on day one and go, at some point we're going to open a store?
No, fully enough. I mean, you have dreams, right? You've got an ambition and a dream to take your brand to a certain place. But I actually think one of the things that's really helped us is we've ironically set the bar incredibly low on every single milestone. And what I mean by that is, when the business first started, I wanted to make a website that would transact. So that was it, right? A website that will transact, and my passion was in fitness. Then it was a case of regular sales, and then it was make our first t-shirt, our first tank, our first hoodie, and then go into women's wear and all these different things. And every single time we just set a relatively low milestone, hit it, and went again. And I think that's been really the really important thing, because if we were to sit there 10 years ago and say we want to create a brand that's going to do X, Y, and Z and have a store on Regent Street, it's such a far-flung goal from where we were. It's difficult to work out exactly how you're going to get there. So ironically, whilst we had dreams and ambitions, I actually think what we've achieved is larger than what our dreams at the time would have been.
What was it that said to you, right now is the moment to open the store in a post-pandemic world? I mean,
you say post-pandemic. I think we agreed to do this during the pandemic, wasn't it? So this was a very much a gut-led. Now, commercially, things added up for us, but it was a gut-led decision. And what I mean by that is, we were in London looking for an office for our London team to work in. And whilst the team were looking for an office, they literally sent me a picture of this street, and they said, "There's a store available, and we think there's something to be done here." And I mean, in typical Gymshark fashion, we were like, listen, that would be a dream, but I didn't think it would be possible. And listen, we just went for it, and we were massively helped out by the Crown. And we know that to be an iconic global brand, we need a beautiful flagship that really, resonates and shows what the Gymshark brand is. Yeah, we decided to go for it, and fast forward 12, 18 months, here we are today.
So is this about taking opportunities as soon as you see them, like kind of seizing on that? Yeah. Is that kind of how you work?
Yeah.
Here's something that I didn't expect to come up. It's here. Let's just do it.
Yeah. So it's almost like, so we run, I think a lot of people have heard of this, like a test and learn mentality. So the ambition before this popped up was test every single facet of the store. We actually opened up a retail pop-up in Covent Garden, and it was closed when the first lockdown happened. We did it for 2 weeks as a test. We've done studio tests, we've done event tests, we've done all these different tests, and this is now the culmination of all of those things. The plan was to do more tests for 12 to 24 months. So we basically ended up being 1 to 2 years ahead of schedule when the store came up. But equally, because the opportunity was so huge, it was the perfect store, the perfect size, in the perfect location. We thought, let's just do it. And the thing is, people can often zoom into a day, a week, a month, a year, and just purely look at that period of time. Now, we're trying to create an iconic brand, and to create an iconic brand takes tens of years. And what you can't do is only invest in your brand when everything is sunshine and it's rosy, right? You have to consistently, over time, invest in a brand, and that's what we've decided to do here. And we see this as a massive investment in our brand.
That investment side of things, I've been looking into your background, and you have consistently said that whenever there was money coming into the company, that always went back into the company, didn't it? I mean, you weren't even taking a salary.
No, particularly in the early days. No, I don't think we took a salary for a good 2 years. We literally just, I still worked at Pizza Hut and was at university in the early days. You really want the business to be able to grow, and for the business to grow, you have to give it every chance to grow, and it's growth through reinvestment of profits. And particularly in the first few years, we did that, quite aggressively.
Like you talked about those early days when you were at university, you were delivering pizzas, you were selling car license plates as well at one point. Yeah. There must have been a huge amount of quite frankly, hustle that went into creating.
Yeah, there is. It's a funny one because, I think Gymshark was about the 7th website that I'd built. You're right, I did the license plates with some friends. I did iPhone apps, fitness forums, all these different things. And I think now people look at Gymshark 10 years old and they'll pick out all the successes. And I think I look back and I always say to people internally that Gymshark is a story of failure. So Gymshark only succeeded because of the 7 prior failures. Even when we started Gymshark, we actually started drop shipping supplements before we sold apparel and accessories, right? So we failed at supplements, and then we tried apparel. Our first ever women's range that we launched was a complete failure, right? So Gymshark has consistently been a story of failure. But the thing that has really helped us is that we've learned from every single one, and we've not let any particular failure define us.
Thinking about that though, why was it Gymshark rather than any of those other things that did eventually succeed? Why did this one?
I think my passion for fitness. Fitness changed my life personally. And I never actually thought this would be somewhere, if you'd have asked me when I was 14 years old, I probably wouldn't have told you the fitness is where I would be. I actually, growing up, I wanted to be a football player for Villa, but I found out fairly quickly I wouldn't be able to do that. And I just fell in love with it. And quite frankly, I think you have to love what you do, particularly when you're starting a business or running a business, because logically, it doesn't really make sense. It's so consuming and it's so tough. And there are periods of great difficulty. Even in the greatest successes, there will be periods of really, really difficult times. And the thing that constantly draws you to it is the love for what you do, and that desire and that dedication to the cause. And like I said, fitness changed my life, right? It completely changed my mental health, my physical health, my academic life, all of these things. And for that, I always feel grateful and sort of indebted to the fitness industry. And that's why even now, I do feel like I've got the best job in the world. I love what I do every day.
So it can't be about the money then. If you're starting up your own company, it has to be something that you personally have passion for.
I believe so. I think, listen, people I'm sure are successful when they chase finances, but I've not met anyone succeed over a long period without being driven by passion, personally. Listen, they could exist. There could be people out there. I've personally not seen it.
And does that get you through those moments when, burnout might be possible. I mean, your hours
Yeah,
are
yeah.
astonishing, but does knowing that you have kind of a love for the company get you through those really difficult times?
Yeah, it does. And it's love for the company. It's love for the people that are part of the business. It's love for the community and the customer that we serve. It's love for the industry. It's all of these things. And it certainly does, because you're right. The hours are long. It's tough. The amount of sacrifices I've personally had to make, my family have had to make for the success of Gymshark have been great. And honestly, the individuals that work within Gymshark are so dedicated to the cause and to the business, and I'm really proud of that. But it is tough. It's really, really tough at the best of times, and managing growth is tough. But yeah, I think the passion and my personal passion for fitness is definitely what's got me through.
So what do you want when people walk through these doors right here in front of us, these giant doors that head out onto Regent Street, those crowds coming in, people coming into the store? What do you want them to feel the second they step in?
I think intrigued is definitely one of them, but also welcome. And we think fitness and conditioning should be for everybody. And we want to make sure that Gymshark removes those barriers and allows people to get into fitness and conditioning, and they feel welcome in our store, whether it be to come and take part in a class, come and find out about the product, come and speak to one of our in-store team members just about the brand and its history. We want to make sure it's welcome and inviting to those who are passing by.
These store dummies that I see around us, these are not usual. They're not the kind of store dummies that you might see in any of the other retail stores down here on Oxford Street. In fact, as soon as you come in, you can see one on a wheelchair.
Yeah, that was something that we definitely wanted to get across and represent all people inside the store. So trying to find the right mannequins was very, very tough, to the point where we couldn't do it. So all these mannequins that you see in this area now, these are real people that we use in our campaigns and our shoots. So they're models and athletes and influencers that we work with. We've got them into a studio, we've got them to hold the pose, we've 3D rendered them, and now we've had them produced into mannequins. So these are completely bespoke and custom to Gymshark.
Right, while Mitch and I are having a mooch around the shelves, let's go to the ads. Hit the follow button on your podcast provider and you'll never miss an episode of How to Be a CEO. Would I look good in leggings? Maybe I'll stick to the hoodies. So there's a lot of thought gone into how do we create an inviting and presumably commercially successful retail store, but also how do we use it for other things?
Yeah, so being on Regent Street, there are certain hours that we can't trade. So for example, trade won't start until 12 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, which is consistent with every house on Regent Street. But let's make sure that we use the space before that. Let's get the stuff in the air and work out from here, get the community and do big events on a Sunday morning, so it becomes a destination within itself. We want to create more than just one reason to come to our store. Yes, come and touch, feel, try on the products, but also what's your other reason for coming to purchase or come and visit a Gymshark store?
But that's really interesting, because you're using regulations that most people would find really frustrating. I can't open my store before 12 and I've got this empty space. You're like, what can we do with it? How does this constraint, actually, how do we use that to an advantage?
Yeah.
What are the highlights there? Because whenever I talk to CEOs, we always talk about the lowlights and the challenges and all those difficult things. Is it worth becoming the CEO of your own company and taking it to a global success? Is it worth it?
Yeah, like I said, I feel like I've got the best job in the world. It's incredible. It's so much fun. And I've been able to meet people I never thought I would meet. I've been able to go to places I never thought I'd be able to go to. Like, I never thought this would happen, right? Being able to sit in our store on Regent Street from sewing T-shirts in the Midlands is it's not even something that would have registered 10 years ago to be able to do this now. So, yeah, I feel like I've had a roller coaster of 10 years and I've loved every single second of it. And I think if you're doing something that you're really passionate about, even the bad days are better than the good days when you're doing something that you're not passionate about. I really believe that. So, yeah, I do feel like I've got the best job in the world. That's not to say it's not difficult, but it's great fun as well.
So somebody's sitting there day one, maybe in their garage.
Yeah.
What do they have to do? What's the first thing? What's the most important thing, or a mindset? What do they need to make a success, to make another Gymshark?
I think there's a few things. I think you need to be focused on what you're passionate about. I think you can't allow failures to define you. I think there are so many opportunities for you to allow a failure to define you. I think you need to find the positive in every negative that comes as the company grows, because genuinely, like I said, Gymshark's a story of failure. Many of the people that I've met that have run great businesses have said exactly the same thing. It's probably something that isn't spoken about enough, I would say. So dedication to your passion, ability to learn from failure and not allow them to define you. And listen, hard work. You have to work incredibly hard. Because there's always going to be other people that are working super hard as well. So you have to dedicate yourself wholeheartedly to what you do.
One thing that's already struck me that I wanted to bring up with you was that this is more than a shop. People aren't just going to be coming in here to buy stuff, are they?
Yeah.
There's the full-on experience going in here. You've got things like, the shelves, for want of a better word, rise up, and then you've got this gym area, don't you? Yeah. Why do that?
So this store to me is the perfect intersection between community, conditioning and retail. So it's a place where if you want to come and do a fitness class in the studio, if you want to go and bench and deadlift upstairs, you can free of charge. And for me, it's about getting as many people into fitness as possible, right? If you want to come in and you want to, grab a Joe in the juice and you want to go to an event upstairs, which we're going to be holding regularly as well, and that bringing that community element as well, you can do that. But also you've got the retail element, so you can really come and see the Gymshark product. Now, to be at the intersection of those three things is really, really difficult, and it requires a truly flexible space, which is why, like you say, you can walk out here, you can hit a button, clothes rise up into the ceiling, and you've got the gym floor underneath, and it becomes a functional gym space. So with the press of a button, you've got a beautiful gym on one of the most iconic streets in Europe. And that's something that has never been done before. And I've never seen a truly experiential retail space like what we've built here. And that, again, that's really important to me.
This area here, you can think of this space as like our pop-up within our own store. This is where we'll bring new products to life. And it wouldn't be Gymshark if there wasn't places to take photos. So we'll bring new products to life in here, we'll bring photo installations in here as well, really encouraging the consumer to come in, shop and try on product and take photos as well and enjoy it whilst they're here too.
Yeah, I mean, Gymshark started on social media, big on Instagram, big on TikTok. This is part of the brand, isn't it? Having that opportunity to take a selfie.
Yeah, it's key to us. We want our community to celebrate the wins, and whether that be in store buying a new product or whether that be hitting a PB in the gym.
It's a completely different business model to what we used to. So we need to completely think about that. We've hired over 100 people specifically to work in and on this store. We have to think about replenishment of stock. We have to think about hiring all the necessary people that make all these things work. So that was a big challenge for us from a business perspective. But ultimately, like I said, if we zoom out on that 50, 100-year lens, we think to be a truly global iconic brand, you have to operate not just online but offline too. And we've done events for years and years and years, and it really felt like the right time for us to have that permanent community hub. And where better to do that than, again, in the centre of London.
Why is that aspect of stuff important? Because you have run lots of events in the past and you have had a physical presence despite starting effectively as a digital company.
Yeah.
Why is that important? What does it bring?
I think personally, I'm just a massive fan of face-to-face interaction. I think there's lots of different things. One, I think people can really connect with a brand and understand what a brand is about. I think there's so much going on where people are talking about data and how important data is in a business, but some of the conversations that I've had with consumers or members of our community at our events, they've been some of the biggest lessons that I've learned, both personally, but also about, the brand and things that we should offer. So some of the best, I guess, product research you can do isn't going in and looking at market sizes and what's working well and what isn't working well for other people. It's having a conversation with someone that interacts with and uses your product and works with the brand. Because I'm just going to be stood there watching what people are picking up, asking people what they think. And it's more important to know what they don't like and what you can do better than what they do like. And I think that's really exciting for me.
So you've done it. You've opened up a massive flagship store on Regent Street. You've created a very large multinational company. Is this store now the close of phase one and entering into phase two? Is this a new era? What's next? What's the next ambition?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think what we need to do is we need this store to run really, really well. And we're not naive enough to think that everything that we're going to do here is perfect. Going back to that, leaning into failure is if the store looks the same in 12 months that it does today, then one of two things happened. Either we got every single facet of the store 100% right, in brackets, that won't happen. That can't happen. I would think we'd have a magic wand to be able to achieve that. Or we haven't listened to the consumer and we haven't adjusted the store as a result of that. So we're really, really conscious to make sure that's perfect and nailed. We obviously want to grow the brand globally as well. We've got our US office. We want to grow in the States as well. We want to be super strong in the UK. But yeah, it's all about really continuing to grow our brand and ultimately build the best product that we possibly can.
Are we going to see stores in New York, in Berlin?
I mean, that would be a dream come true. I think, listen, if this one went well, we'd be stupid not to do more. But all the focus has to be on getting this right now.
That was Ben Francis from Gymshark. Head to standard.co.uk/business for more interviews, news, analysis and features, or pick up the Evening Standard newspaper. New episodes of How to Be a CEO drop first thing every Monday morning. We'd love to see you again then.